Today we continue on with our NHL season preview series. We're working our way now through the teams in the Metro Division. Today we look at the Pittsburgh Penguins. Can Crosby and friends take it to another level? Can they get back in the playoffs? We'll discuss how the team has changed and their expectations coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we're looking at the Pittsburgh Penguins and previewing their upcoming 24-25 NHL season. Now, in case you're new to this series, essentially how we have the video structured is we're going to first take a quick recap of last year, take a look at how the team did, top individuals, look at their cap space. We're going to analyze the additions and subtractions, how the team has changed. Are there any rookies that can kind of jump in here and have an impact? Is there any contract extensions that we could see throughout the campaign as well? And then we'll analyze the projected roster and top questions facing the team. So let's first start by recapping last year. Last season, the Penguins finished with a record of 38, 32, and 12, 88 points, 5th in the Metro Division, just missing out on the Stanley Cup playoffs. They had it within their own, real reach down the stretch here. And in all honesty, the Penguins had a slow start, so you could look at that as being a culprit. You could look at, having a few lost points down the stretch as a culprit. Either way, this team definitely underachieved last year. 5th place in the Metro did not get it done. We saw 4 teams from each of the Atlantic in the Metro make it into the playoffs. They scored 255 goals, which was 18th best. They allowed 251, which was 15th best. So they're kind of hovering around league average in both aspects, but nothing phenomenal on either side. The power play, even though they added Erik Karlsson last year, was one of the worst in the NHL. They were expected between, look at Letang, Karlsson, Crosby, Malkin. Large part of the year they had Jake Guentzel, Brian Rust, lots of star power out there, and this team could not muster up a power play goal when they needed it most. They were 30th best in the league, 15.3%, an absolutely huge part of the team's disappointing results. Penalty killing was okay, though. They were certainly respectable there, 80.7% for 11th best. They continued to be led by their captain, Sidney Crosby, who seems to defy time and age, and even though Father Time is technically undefeated, he has not caught up to win the battle with Sidney Crosby just yet. Crosby led the way last year with 94 points, a huge gap between himself and the next highest scorer, which was his longtime running mate, Evgeny Malkin, who put up 67 points. Brian Rust and Erik Karlsson both had 56, and Jake Guentzel, before he was traded at the deadline, put up 52. So this team did go through some change last year at the deadline. Like I said, Guentzel being the big trade, longtime running mate of Sidney Crosby, no longer in the mix. They missed the playoffs for the second consecutive year. They really haven't had much playoff success at all since they last won the Stanley Cup in 2017. The following year, they did make the playoffs, and they won the first round, and that's the last time the team has won a playoff series. So 2018... 2024. It's a long gap without really, they've made it, but they really haven't done any damage or really, contended in quite some time. Looking at their cap space, they have $874,000 right now, according to Puckpedia, to start the season. Looking at how the team has changed, wasn't really a lot of drastic moves. Kyle Dubas was quiet through a large part of the offseason. Later on, because when we did the GM report card series, I kind of waited as long as I could, but I didn't give Dubas a good grade, saying that they needed to add more youth and they needed to add more, youth and speed and skill, and they did do that to some degree, but it came late into the offseason. So leaving this team was Riley Smith, who didn't really want to be there, didn't fit well, and was just not a good match. He's gone. Jeff Carter retires. They moved on from defenseman Pierre-Olivier Joseph, was not qualified. He ended up in St. Louis with his brother Matthew, so that ended up being a good story, even though the Penguins have put a lot of time and effort into his development since being drafted. It was time to part ways, according to Dubas and the management team there. New to the club, even though we said they needed youth and skill, they add Kevin Hayes. Now, they were able to get an extra draft pick that was a pure cap dump from Philly, but I'm a little surprised. I mean, to be honest, I don't even really see where Kevin Hayes fits in this lineup. But he's an experienced player who can give you a little bit, I guess. But Kevin Hayes is new to the team. They picked up Cody Glass from Nashville. That materialized after all the free agent signings. So Cody Glass, I think, is a young player that what I saw, good for Pittsburgh. You know, somebody who's young, talented, hasn't been able to completely figure it out for a full-time stretch, you know, in the NHL, but somebody who's worth taking a chance on for a low price. They signed Blake Lizotte on free agency from the LA Kings, so he'll be a bottom six centerman who can skate well and obviously add a little bit of bite to his game. They brought in Anthony Beauvillier, another younger-ish scoring forward with, he's had his fair share bouncing around lately, so clearly he's had his struggles or he would have stuck somewhere. Ever since leaving the Islanders, it's been kind of tough. He's been, obviously went to the Vancouver Canucks first in the Horvat trade. He's been with Chicago. He's been around a few teams now. Ended up in Nashville for a while last year with his old coach, Barry Trotz. And here we are in Pittsburgh now. So hopefully he can capitalize because he'll have an opportunity to play a top six role. It's his to lose, I think. Of course, they picked up Rutger McGroarty in that trade with the Winnipeg Jets, swapping for Braden Yager. So, of course, he's theoretically a subtraction as well. But Yager, of course, wasn't in the actual lineup, but he is no longer with the organization. So McGroarty comes in, Matt Grzelcyk and Sebastian Aho. The defenseman Aho from the Islanders both come in as free agent deals on the UFA market. So they do add some more skating and speed to the back end. They get a little bit more, besides Hayes, they add Glass and Beauvillier and McGroarty. So they get a combination of youth, some speed, and some skill, and some hardworking players. So that part is good. The Hayes deal, I know they get the extra draft pick, which they do need to restock, but I was like, if all the guys use it on, just wasn't sure. As far as rookies that could have an impact on this lineup, I think Rutger McGroarty will be the most likely to have the impact. Sam Poulin maybe is ready for more of an opportunity. I'm not sure he's going to get it right off the get-go. He might have to be a call-up option, depending on injuries, of course, but McGroarty was not wanting to report to Winnipeg and sign because he wanted NHL options, and they weren't prepared to guarantee him that. So I suspect that the Penguins have kind of told him that, sign here and we'll give you that opportunity. So I suspect he'll be in the opening night lineup and give a chance here. Contract extensions that we might see. One that we were kind of waiting on and thought might be a big story this year, Sidney Crosby. But, of course, early in training camp, he got that deal done and signed for a couple more years. So, clearly, Crosby's, extended, going to be in the mix for at least 3 more seasons. So, clearly, that deal is all done. Besides him, you've got Lars Eller is on an expiring deal. Drew O'Connor, Matt Nieto, and then, of course, Beauvillier comes over on a 1-year deal. So, there's 4 forwards on expiring contracts. Beauvillier couldn't extend until January, where the others could. I'm not sure that Dubas will rush to do that. On the back end, they've got some defensemen like Marcus Pettersson, Matt Grzelcyk, and Ryan Shea. Grzelcyk, like Beauvillier, can't extend until at least January, given that he was a 1-year deal. I do know that they do like Marcus Pettersson's game, and it's believed now that Crosby's taken care of that their attention will essentially turn to him. I'm not sure how quickly they'll get the deal done, but it is expected that they're working on that now. So I would suspect that either before opening night or early in the season, we'll probably get a Marcus Pettersson extension. At least I would think. On the RFA side, Cody Glass is the only player on their roster that's going to be possibly do a contract extension, and I would suspect that they'll wait and see how that goes before they really jump into anything there, given that they're going to want to see some consistent play before they really go down that road. So with all that said, your projected roster going into opening night, between the pipes, you're going to have Tristan Jarry and Alex Nedeljkovic. Same goaltending tandem as last year. On the back end, of course, you get Chris Letang, Erik Karlsson, and you got Ryan Graves, who you're hoping will bounce back, Marcus Pettersson, Matt Grzelcyk, Sebastian Aho. So obviously a little different than last year, but at the same time, they don't have a ton of size back there. They do have some guys that are a bit bigger, obviously Graves, Pettersson. Grzelcyk is kind of a similar style player as Karlsson and Letang. Not to that skill level, but, good skating, puck-moving defenseman. So a little surprised they brought him in, but he will add some more wheels back there. Up front, you're probably looking at Crosby playing with Rust, I would suspect. And I would think Beauvillier will get an opportunity in that top line. Second line likely going to be Malkin with Raquel and Bunting. Your third line, to me, could be a guy like Lars Eller, combining with some youth with Rutger McGroarty and Cody Glass. I think that's a possible third line. The fourth line, I don't know really where to put Kevin Hayes. Could he play with Lizotte and a Cherry? You've got Drew O'Connor. Will Hayes be the extra? I'm not really sure how that bottom part fits. I mean, Hayes typically is not a conventional fourth liner, and I'm not really sure that that he'll get to play over guys like Beauvillier and McGroarty up front or Glass. So I don't know where Hayes fits in, to be honest. I know looking at daily faceoff, they have him in there, but I'm not entirely convinced. We'll have to see how that all plays out. So at the end of the day, they did add some youth. For the most part, I don't have an issue with most of what Dubas did, besides Hayes. But like I said, I get it. They're bringing in a veteran forward on a cheaper contract to restock the cupboard with a draft pick. But could there not have been a better player out there to do that on? That's my only take on that. Your goaltending's the same. It's going to be a concern. It's going to be a question mark. Can Tristan Jarry get the job done? I don't know that. Nedeljkovic outplayed him largely parts of last year, so will that be the same? On the back end, Karlsson is hurt to start the year. He has not really participated in camp yet. Obviously, if he's not in there, that will have an impact, no doubt. Like I said, you're hoping that Graves has a bounce-back season. But at the end of the day, you've got Letang and Karlsson, and you're hoping Karlsson gets in there quick. You get Grzelcyk, Pettersson, Graves, Aho. It's not drastically improved. Like, the blue line was definitely a bit of an issue last year. Lots of offense, not a lot of defense. And it's not really better in that sense. Like, the main way this gets better is Ryan Graves plays better. And then you add in Grzelcyk, he comes in for Joseph. So, if that works out, then it could be a bit better. And the forward group is definitely a little bit of youth with McGroarty and Glass expected to get an opportunity. Beauvillier, a little bit more speed. All those guys can skate. So they have that going for them. At the end of the day, though, it's a lot of unproven talent besides your core guys. So at the same time, I think the playoffs are going to be tough for the Penguins to get into. I'm projecting they're going to be in that 4 or 5 range. I don't think they're better than New Jersey. I don't think they're better than the Rangers. I don't think they're better than Carolina. So I kind of see the Penguins and maybe the Capitals and to some degree the Islanders. I think all 3 of those teams kind of competing, maybe even Philly, to be honest, for that 4, 5, 6 range. And I honestly would not be shocked if the playoff situation kind of changes this year and we see 5 from the Atlantic. Not a given, because you've got teams like Buffalo, Ottawa, Detroit that have been pushing to get in. And like, not only do the Penguins have competition within their own division, but Pittsburgh, Washington, etc. They're going to have competition from the Atlantic for those final spots. And I wouldn't be shocked to see a 5-3 split happen, which could push some teams like the Penguins out of the playoffs again. I'm not going to say 100% they won't make it, but it's not going to be easy. I have them as a bubble team, and they need everything to go right, including better goaltending, consistency, and health from Jarry, better season for Ryan Graves on the back end. You need Karlsson to get better and be able to play soon, and then you need your stars to continue to play as good or better than last year. And if everything goes right, maybe it works out. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and we'll talk further. If you're new to the channel, of course, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.